You ever notice how in 2026, the loudest guns get all the attention and the real game changers stay buried at the bottom of the shelf? I used to think I'd seen it all by January. Then this year blindsided me. I walked right past half these pistols, figured they were just another forgettable release or last year's leftovers. Turns out a few of these hidden picks showed up when nothing else worked. Made me rethink what actually belongs in your rotation for 2026. I'm not talking about guns you've already seen 100 times. These are the ones nobody's bragging about, at least not yet. Ignore them, and you'll miss the real lessons this year is already handing out. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just wait. There's one pistol buried in this list that made me question everything I trust, and the story behind it nearly cost me a small fortune this winter. Jump out early, and you'll never hear how close I came to making the worst mistake of 2026. Let's see if you catch what everyone else missed. Storm still here in 2026. No big relaunch, no hype, not even a marketing whisper this year. Most shooters probably forgot it's still being made, but walk through any shop and it's there. Quiet, a little dusty, never front and center, never gone. I've watched the hype cycle chew up a dozen louder pistols just this year. Big promises, influencers pumping out videos, everyone acting like the latest striker-fired plastic is gold. Most of those must-haves are already off the shelves or traded away before winter. The PX4 never cared about the spotlight. It just stayed ignored. You don't see people talking about these online. The few who buy them just keep them. If a used one pops up, it disappears without anyone bragging. Nobody's flexing their PX4 at the range, but you notice the same guys keep running them year after year. Most folks barely mention the PX4 in 2026. That's the point. Doesn't make noise, doesn't pretend to be the next big thing, but it outlasts all the flash. The survivor is usually the one you don't notice until everything else disappears. Next pick, you'll see it's even quieter and probably tougher. This wasn't some planned buy. Early December, I topped off the old truck at Quick Trip, turned onto Maze Street, and figured I'd kill a few minutes at a nearest pawn shop before heading home. No intention to pick up anything new. I spot a SIG P226 X-Carry Legion in the case. Nobody's pitching it. No sales talk. Just sitting there, ignored like it's background. I handled it out of habit, expected nothing, but the fit, the finish, classic Legion stuff, smooth trigger, zero drama. Ended up walking out with it almost by accident. Didn't think twice until I finally took it to the range. After a few sessions, it quietly pushed its way up my list. Shoots exactly where you point it, feels solid, stays reliable. None of the quirks or noise you get from trendier picks. You hear endless hype about what's hot in 2026. This isn't it, but it's what I keep reaching for. Most handguns get one chance to impress and then get shuffled out. The Legion, no noise, no pitch, just a gun that proves itself when you actually use it. So much talk goes to the loudest guns and newest trends, but it's usually the quiet, overlooked ones that stick with you. Makes you wonder how many others you've been ignoring, just waiting on a shelf or hiding in plain sight. I'll be straight, when I first picked up the Canik TP9 Elite Combat, I figured it was just a range toy. Loud branding, everyone online acting like it was the next fun thing. Didn't take it seriously, didn't expect much, just thought I'd run a few mags for the laughs. Treated it casual, like a backup I'd pass around the bench. But the more I shot it, the more it stopped feeling like a joke. It just kept running, reliable, no weird drama, and actually started to feel like something I could trust. By the time I'd run a few boxes through it, I caught myself reaching for it first. Respect came after use, not before. The change snuck up on me. Nobody ever told me this was a must-try or sold it as some sleeper gem. That's the hidden part. It's not obvious until you actually run it, and suddenly you're the one telling friends they have no clue what they're missing. In 2026, there are 100 ways to chase hype, but the only way you'll find a real hidden pick is by putting it through the dirt yourself. Miss this one and you'll regret it every time another shooter figures it out before you do. Yesterday was one of those cold Sundays that actually make shooting feel like a real event. Right after church, Me and Dave loaded up and headed out of town. Year's first range trip, breath showing, hands half numb. He shows up with whatever new polymer flavor everyone's posting about. I just grabbed my old X9. Nothing fancy, nothing to prove. We start running mags. Dave's swapping between guns, fiddling, shaking his head at little issues here and there. Meanwhile, the FNX9 just runs. Trigger, slide, controls. Everything works. Cold weather, no drama. My hands get warm, and I never even think about what's new or hot this year. The FNX9 isn't on anybody's must-have list for 2026. Most shooters don't even talk about it, but after a session like that, you remember why it's still here. Funny how the pistols everyone's chasing never show up when it's time to just shoot. Sometimes it's the old, overlooked ones that actually make the day work. That's why the FNX9 is a real hidden pick. No hype, no spotlight, just a gun that keeps showing up and never lets you down. I walk past the CSX more times than I can count. Not because it was bad, because it was invisible. No one talked about it. No shop hype, no range chatter, no "you gotta try this" nonsense. It just sat there, looking like another small pistol nobody asked for. I didn't go looking for one. It came to me in a trade, late afternoon, almost an afterthought. I figured I'd flip it or forget it. First time I ran it, I noticed something right away. How flat it sat in the hand. Not flashy, not exciting, just, settled. The trigger surprised me. Clean enough that I stopped thinking about it after the first few mags. No fighting it. No adjusting grip every string. What caught me off guard was how natural it felt under slow, boring shooting. Draw, fire, reset. Over and over. No drama. That's usually where small pistols annoy me. This one didn't. Most shooters miss it because it doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't scream innovation. In 2026, that's exactly why it gets ignored. And that's also why it ends up sticking around longer than people expect. You think you've spotted every sleeper worth noticing until one like this slips past almost everyone. Most of my shooting these days still happens in the garage or out back. End of the day, hands dirty from work. Nothing staged for the camera. The CZ P10F fits that life. No big launch, not getting hyped up in 2026. Half the shooters I know barely remember it exists. For me, it's always just been there. Never a centerpiece, always in the mix, right next to a box of tools and a half-empty bottle of CLP. It's not a pistol folks brag about. Mine's taken more beatings in the trunk and gotten more scratches from being tossed on a metal shelf than any safe queen ever will. Eats whatever's left in the ammo can, doesn't care if it's clean, doesn't need babying. No flex, no drama, just works. I can't remember the last time I actually worried about it not firing. While the rest are busy chasing the next big drop or reading reviews, the P10F is still working in the background, getting the job done where it counts. Sometimes the guns you actually trust are the ones that stay under the radar. Keep chasing trends and you'll walk right past the real keepers. And just when you think you've seen every sleeper worth grabbing, something even less expected shows up next. This one didn't start with me. A good friend of mine out in Arizona, the kind of guy who carries every day but never talks up his gear, quietly mentioned the Masada once or twice over the years. He's not the type to hype anything or try to sell you on his picks. Just a throwaway comment here and there. I started to notice, months apart, same gun, still no complaints, still carrying it every day. No drama, no stories, just steady use. The kind of quiet consistency means more to me than anything you'll hear in shop talk or on the internet. I didn't run out and grab one just because he liked it. Time did the filtering. Eventually, I picked up a Masada myself. No big expectations. And right away, nothing felt new, nothing felt questionable. It just fit, and it worked. Owning it didn't surprise me. It felt like it had always been part of the lineup. If a gun wasn't doing its job, you'd stop hearing about it. Simple as that. But with the Masada, the silence is its own proof. Not flashy, not hyped, just a pistol that quietly earns its place and never gives you a reason to doubt it. This isn't neglect, it's just life. The RXM got treated like an afterthought most weeks. Sat dirty in my range bag, rode in the truck, barely saw an oil bottle. I wasn't testing it, just forgot about it because things got busy. Any other pistol, I'd probably start worrying. but the RXM never flinched. Every time I grabbed it, no matter how much grit or cheap ammo, it ran like nothing happened. That's when it hit me. This isn't the gun anyone's bragging about. You don't see folks lining up to post about their RXM. It's not flashy, not trendy, and not on anybody's best of lists for 2026. But while everyone else is chasing the next big thing, this is the one that kept showing up and getting the job done when I honestly expected it to fail. That's what makes it a real secret. If you only go after what's popular, you'll never find out which guns will quietly take a beating and still have your back. You want a must-try for 2026? The RXM is the one nobody's talking about until it's the only thing left running. And right when you think you've seen what real reliability looks like, there's a pick coming up that tests your patience even harder. Last October, I almost traded my SAR 9 Gen 3 for a couple boxes of ammo. It was a backup. Never thought twice about it. Honestly, it was one step from the pawn shop shelf. Then, one ugly afternoon, my main carry jammed. Suddenly, the only thing left in my bag was this supposed throwaway. No warm-up, no prep, just me, the SAR, and the kind of test you never planned for. I figured I'd get 1 or 2 shots and then start cussing. Instead, it ran. And it kept running. Every round, no drama, no attitude, not a single jam or hiccup. Call it luck. Call it a miracle. I started respecting that pistol real fast. Here's the honest part. I can't even fully explain why I'm telling you to try this in 2026. I never planned to keep it, let alone recommend it. But after that day, I trusted a whole lot more than most of the must-haves out there. Some guns only prove themselves after you're one step from getting rid of them. But if you think this is as unpredictable as it gets, the last pick on this list is about to flip everything upside down. Hold on. Bet you didn't expect to see this name on the list, but it earned it the hard way. I originally bought the M&P9 2.0 compact just to keep in my truck. Wasn't looking for anything special, just wanted a backup that could handle some abuse. It never had the spotlight, never felt like the main event. But over time, every time another pistol let me down or got too picky, the M&P was still there, still running. It took whatever I threw at it, dust, grit, getting knocked around under the seat, weeks between cleanings, no drama, no malfunctions, no excuses. Eventually, I started reaching for it first. Didn't even notice when it stopped being my backup and became my main carry. No hype, no influencer seal of approval, just a gun that kept showing up after the others were long gone. If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have laughed at the idea of putting this at the top of any list. But that's how it goes. Sometimes the gun you overlook is the one that ends up saving your day, and you don't even realize it until it's the only thing left you trust. I think you've seen every surprise. Wait until you catch the bonus picks. Those are the ones nobody's even talking about. Let's be honest. Most shooters have never even handled an Arex Delta Gen 2, and half the guys at the range can't pick it out of a lineup. That's exactly why it caught my eye. I started hearing little things from guys I actually trust. People who don't post every gun online. Just put in the rounds and keep moving. They kept saying the same stuff. This thing runs better than it has any right to. Decent trigger. Surprisingly comfortable in the hand. Curiosity got the best of me, so I picked one up. Felt like rolling the dice on a no-name, but sometimes those bets pay off. It's not trying to be flashy or claim best in class. Just does its job. After plenty of rounds, it's clear Arex built a workhorse. No drama, no flexing, just solid results. You almost never hear about these failing, and the guys who shoot them rarely let them go. The more time I spent with it, the less I cared about what name was on the slide. Listen to real shooters, and you'll find some of the best guns aren't on anybody's radar. In my town, there's this range talk. People say some pistols just shoot better cold than hot. Nobody's got the numbers, but folks believe it anyway. The Walther PDP-SF is the one that always comes up. It's never on the front page, never blowing up YouTube. Just a quiet favorite with the guys who show up early, when the lanes are still frosty. I'd heard that chatter for a while before I ever grabbed one myself. Figured it was just another range myth. But the first few mags through the SF, it really did feel locked in. Tight groups, no warm-up, just point and shoot. Maybe it's all in the head, but the results kept talking, round after round. You'll never see stats telling this story, just a steady rep built from word of mouth. You don't hear the hype, but you notice who keeps bringing it out, session after session. That's the kind of pistol folks pass along in whispers. And trust me, the next one on this list isn't any louder, just even more overlooked. The PX9 Duty isn't the gun you spot sitting pretty in glass cases. Most folks I know heard about it the way you hear about a shortcut or a back road. One guy swears it's legit, but nobody you trust has actually seen it. I remember scrolling through listings and thinking, no way that's real stock. Ghost ads, week after week, all the way into 2026. One day, I bid on a lead and lucked out. Actual PX9 Duty. Not a rumor, not a bait and switch, no unboxing hype, no YouTube dance. Just a pistol that hit the bench and started punching out rounds. Not a single head turned at first until it ran through a full range session without so much as a hiccup. That's when questions started. Quiet ones from shooters who pay attention, not the loud crowd. It's the guns people whisper about that usually make the strongest case. Miss this one, and you'll spend months chasing listings wondering what slipped by. And just when you think you've caught them all, the next one blindsides you. People kept telling me the MR920 was the best Glock killer out there, the ultimate Glock alternative. I'd heard it so much, I pretty much tuned it out. Just figured it was the usual internet noise. To me, it always sounded like one of those things folks repeat until it sticks. Not because it's true, but because they want it to be. That changed the day I finally got to put real rounds through one. I wasn't expecting much, honestly. Just thought I'd check a box and move on. But after a couple mags, something shifted. Felt locked in, grip fit just right, accuracy tight, no gimmicks. I had to admit there's real substance there. Maybe those range rumors aren't just hot air after all. Most shooters only know the MR920 as a Glock alternative, but it's got its own thing going on if you give it a shot. Just goes to show, sometimes the loudest label covers up a legit hidden pick. And if you think you've heard it all, wait till you see what's buried even deeper in the next bonus. People kept telling me the MR920 was the best Glock killer out there, the ultimate Glock alternative. I'd heard it so much, I pretty much tuned it out. Just figured it was the usual internet noise. To me, it always sounded like one of those things folks repeat until it sticks. Not because it's true, but because they want it to be. That changed the day I finally got to put real rounds through one. I wasn't expecting much, honestly. Just thought I'd check a box and move on. But after a couple mags, something shifted. Felt locked in, grip fit just right, accuracy tight, no gimmicks. I had to admit there's real substance there. Maybe those range rumors aren't just hot air after all. Most shooters only know the MR920 as a Glock alternative, but it's got its own thing going on if you give it a shot. Just goes to show, sometimes the loudest label covers up a legit hidden pick. And if you think you've heard it all, wait till you see what's buried even deeper in the next bonus. Funny how 2026 already made me eat my own words. If you're still chasing the same old favorites or buying into this month's hype, trust me, you're missing what really matters. I nearly let a couple of these pistols slip right by. Would have cost me more than just cash. But I'll admit it, I don't have every answer. I'm still out here, always searching for the one gun that finally shuts me up. Hasn't happened yet. Now it's your turn. I want the story behind your hidden pick for 2026. Not the one you saw in a headline, the one that changed your mind the hard way. Drop it below and don't hold back. Don't fool yourself. 2026's best surprises are still in hiding. I'm Steve. When you think you found it all, that's when you really start missing out.